Hey guys, good to be here for this week's Oxen Lab update, or updates, because we're doing the last 2 weeks in this video. So lots been going on in the session world. We've done 2 releases, one for Android and one for iOS. So the Android release is particularly focusing on some crashes that we had with specific devices, mainly related to call-related messages that were being processed late. So we've put a few fixes in for that, and the crash that was causing was recursive, so it would just happen over and over and over again, which was inflating crash data in the Play Store. And when you start getting a lot of crashes in the Play Store, they start recommending you less. So we're on top of that pretty quickly. And the other fixes are mainly related to performance. So we were finding that as a user joined more open groups, the performance stress on Android devices was becoming quite high. So we've made some changes in that area to try and reduce that burden. So let us know how that goes. That's now rolled out to, as of I guess today or tomorrow, it's rolled out to about 10% of users. But we're hoping to roll it out to everyone, and it's in the GitHub and the F-Droid release now as well. So once we start getting early feedback on how that's going, we'll push it out to everyone. The other release we've worked on is Session iOS. So basically just a bug fix release and some quality of life fixes for Session iOS. But you can check out the full patch notes in the dev update. So those are the main things, but we're still working on our primary goals, which are the configuration message management update, closed groups, and disappearing messages. So we're working through at a pretty good pace on those. The user configuration message management stuff is kind of a dependency for closed groups and disappearing messages because of the way that syncing works. So we're working on that first before we get back onto those tasks as it is. But all of that work is going really well, and we should be having releases soon for those. I won't say how soon, but soon. On the core side, we haven't been working too much on core just because our primary developer on core is working through some auditing stuff that we need to do for the OPTF. But he'll be back onto core within the week, and basically most of the work's following Wallet 3 there. And we're actually going to try and bring some more resources from the LokiNet team onto Wallet 3, hopefully in the next couple of weeks too. On the LokiNet side, Jeff is working on a big internals refactor to try and make it much easier for future contributors to contribute to the code. And that includes people that we've hired internally as well. So you may have heard a few weeks ago that we hired a new member for the LokiNet team. And a lot of that improving the code is about making it easier for him and other contributors to start making changes too. Now Dan, the new guy that we hired, he is working on basically understanding LokiNet, so he's doing a lot of documentation around how LokiNet builds paths, all of that stuff. But he's also going to start working on libLokiNet very soon once he starts to kind of understand the core of things. So I think that's just about it on all of the projects. Expect that we'll be making some larger releases on Session in the next in the following months. A lot of stuff we've been working on behind the scenes that we really want to get into your guys' hands. So I think I'll pass it over to Josh without further ado. Thanks, guys.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the second and I suppose also the third marketing update for the year. This time I'm sitting in for Josh. He's currently busy in a super important meeting, so I am here with you this time. But we have a lot of stuff. We missed the lab update last week, but partially that was because we were genuinely just so full on busy getting started with everything for 2023. So let's run through some of this stuff. First of all is the new Session merch. We've been teasing the Session merch for so long, and finally it is out there in the world. We've already started to see some of the orders flowing through. We've even had some people who have been using the Oxen payment method, which has been super exciting to see. It's always good to see interesting and new ways to use Oxen, and of course Session merch is the perfect opportunity to do just that. We also had a bit of a campaign that we launched around it, and you might have seen Josh was actually modeling some of the merch. If you go and look at the store, the web store, you will see him rocking some of that Session merch. So that was pretty cool. Wes and I have been working on some customer support stuff. Specifically, we have been tweaking and fine-tuning and adding new macros to the customer support help desk. Basically, the reason for this is there are a lot of questions that we get over and over again, people asking the same questions. Obviously, we do have our FAQs, which address a lot of those issues, but people often want to just talk to somebody. So for a lot of those questions, it's really the fastest and most accurate way to get back to them is using macros. So we've been trying to put together all of those macros and make sure that we can get back to people and make session support just as efficient as possible. And on that note, actually, Cam has also been doing an audit of the session FAQs, and he has been running through pretty much all of them, figuring out bits of information which need to be updated, whether we need to add or remove FAQs, and he's also done a bit of job syncing the help desk items and the FAQs to make sure all of that information has been carried across. The other big item on the menu is the session tapes. So we are currently gearing up to do episode 6 of the session tapes. You might have seen episode 5 actually dropped recently, a little bit earlier this year. Episode 6 is already in the works, and actually we're going to be changing the format up just a little bit. So we're going to be doing a Twitter Spaces stream at the same time as we record the tapes. So obviously that will just be audio only, and if you're a Twitter user, you'll be able to tune in live if you want to with Cam and I for the session tapes. I believe that'll be happening on Thursday, but you can go and check the Twitter out, and if you happen to miss it, you can catch it afterwards as well. We'll still be doing the normal video as well with the session tapes, but we're just trying something out. We want to see if we can mobilize our Twitter audience, which is quite large, see if we can push them in certain directions, or how much attention and interest we get when we do the Twitter Spaces. We also think it'll be much easier and people will be much more willing to come on for guest appearances if we're doing it on Twitter Spaces, and it will probably just alert a bunch of people who aren't really aware of the format just yet, but do follow us on Twitter, to the existence of the session tapes. So hopefully, great things coming for that project this year. Cam and Connor have been working on some App Store localizations for Germany. That's ongoing work. Germany is a really key market for Session at the moment. Really high levels of interest in privacy there, which we already knew, and we're just improving and upgrading our localizations for the App Store listings there. The other thing that we've been doing is we've taken some stock and we've been looking at all the official community channels that we run, as well as the Discord channel, which is now unofficial, but it was official in the past. We really want to try and drive the community all towards the same direction, the same place, so that there's one central place where we can have a hive of Oxen activity, I suppose, and for newcomers to come there and be able to get up-to-date information and meet all the people in the community. So we've been working on that. We've got a bit of a plan, and we'll be releasing a little bit more information about that very, very soon. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. In terms of the content side of things, we had to handle the comms for the mandatory service node upgrade, which is currently in the mandatory upgrade period. So if you are a service node operator and you haven't done that, make sure that you go and upgrade your service nodes. You can go to the Oxen website to find out more information about that. We've also released a little bit of content about Session being an ideal replacement for Wickr. For those of you who don't know, Wickr.me is going to be shutting down at the end of this year. It's an app which, obviously it's a private messaging app, and I think a lot of people who have used Wickr in the past will probably be interested in Session as an alternative, because obviously they're going to have to jump off that sinking ship. And last but not least, there have honestly just been a lot of meetings. The contents of those meetings will reveal themselves to you very, very soon. We've been doing planning for Q1, but also for beyond, so the rest of 2023 as well. We've been aligning the team, making sure everybody is on the same page. And Josh and Chris have also been stuck in some meeting rooms, along with Key, I believe, as well. Really trying to hammer down on the focus for the year. I know Chris has some super ambitious goals, and so he's been working with Josh and Key to figure out exactly how we're going to do that, how we're going to get there, and that's been filtering down into meetings with the rest of the marketing team as well. So that's all from me for this week. That's 2 and 3 for 2023. And we'll see you next time. It may be me, but I think Josh will probably be back in the chair next time. See you, everybody.